Okay, this is Chapter 4, Section 4. So you have just finished all 4 triangle congruent postulates, and 4-4 is going to introduce a new theorem, and it's called CPCTC. You know how math people like to abbreviate. Okay? Alright, so what does that stand for? Obviously it's an acronym. CPCTC. Alright, this stands for corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Okay. For those of you who asked me not to use the symbols anymore, there's your whole word. Although, like I said in class, you have to know the symbols. It's kind of an important part of the class. Okay, so that sounds like a bunch of gibberish, but when you think about it, all it means is that if you have 2 triangles, and you've proven that the 2 triangles are congruent, that's where this part comes in, congruent triangles. If you have the triangles already proved congruent, then their corresponding parts are congruent. So what that means is, if I have this triangle congruent to another triangle, then all of their sides are congruent and all of their angles are congruent. So the plan for these proofs is going to be to prove the triangles congruent first. After you do that, then you're just going to use CPCTC. I'm going to show you what this looks like in an example. So let's say I have this picture. That's given. That's given. Except this time, instead of it saying prove triangle ABD is congruent to triangle CBD, it's going to say prove angle C is congruent to angle A. Now, you cannot prove those angles are congruent until the triangles are proven congruent first. So the 90% of your proofs today, or tomorrow when you do the homework in class, 90% of the proof is going to be what you already know how to do. The only thing that's going to change is we're going to add a step at the end. So you start off with your givens. So AB is equal to BC, and AD is equal to CD. That was given. That's not enough to prove the triangle's congruent. We need more. Okay, what else do we need? We either need an angle or a side. There are no angles in the picture. We don't have parallel lines. We don't have vertical angles. There's no angles to be found in the picture that are congruent. There's no angle bisectors. So let's look at sides. Are there any other sides that we know? Well, BD is equal to BD. Everything's congruent to itself. That's the reflexive property. Okay. Is that enough to prove the triangle's congruent? Yes. So the triangles are congruent. But we're not going to stop here, because that's not what they asked us to prove. They asked us to say that angle A is congruent to angle C. This will be our last step. Angle A is congruent to angle C. And we are going to justify this with this statement. We have the triangles congruent, so all of the parts are congruent. Okay? I'm going to try to keep these videos pretty short. I'm not going to do another example. I know this may seem complicated right now, but once I get you through the first 1 or 2 questions in class, you're going to see that it's actually really easy. Like I said, from here up is what you already know how to do. Okay? Everything from here up is what we've been doing the last 2 days. At the end, we put CPCTC. Now, some of the stuff I see mistakes every year is kids trying to use this to prove a triangle congruence. You will never see a triangle congruent and CPC together. Okay? You will never see these two things together. I should never see CPCTC next to a triangle congruent statement. Okay? So I don't know if you want to write a note to that yourself down at the bottom if you want to. I'm just going to say it verbally. These two will never go together.
Miss Harris, can you
Okay?
please talk to Mr.
That's it.
Randolph if you're still
5-minute
available?
video.